Hello, dear friends. Hope and patience are two infallible remedies, the surest and gentlest to rest in the face of adversity. Saint Augustine. Patience is a conquering virtue. Impatience is a vice of the devil. Francisco de Quevedo. Opinion piece. To all the restless ones, everything takes time. Patience achieves everything. The process is dragging on. Emergency Fed meeting. Nothing can thwart the divine plan. We live in a culture of immediacy. Don't be discouraged, says Matthew Watt. Europe loses 35% of its natural gas. Russia says he can repair gas pipelines. Red October begins. Fasten your seatbelts. Let's start. To all those who are disappointed that major steps were not taken to rid the world of corruption, please do not lose heart, says Matthew Watt. The Lightworker force has not abandoned the mission. When those in charge received a threat, they choose a safe path that will also allow time for wider public receptivity. Impatience and financial difficulties could reduce resistance to the new course, which will achieve the same results as a single event, but in safer stages. Many human beings fall into impatience when things do not go smoothly or do not happen exactly as thought. The dictionary defines impatience as the restlessness produced by something that bothers or does not quite arrive. The virtue of patience describes the ability of a subject to tolerate, go through, or endure a certain situation without experiencing nervousness or losing one's temper. It is the attitude assumed by those human beings who have a low tolerance for frustration, which occurs easily when they want to be in control of all situations, or even want to be one step ahead of reality itself. Impatience produces stress and anxiety, leading to accelerated action. Those who are impatient tend to make decisions that they regret over time. The reality is that in life everything has a time of execution, and there is a response time for actions. Creation shows us that everything has a time, and that things are not immediate, that the Great Spirit acts by process rather than making the results immediate. Which do you prefer, a fast food meal or a well-prepared meal? This process is dragging on for what seems like an eternity, because we live in the culture of immediacy. But there are developments on the way that we have all been waiting for a long time. Our luck is that the globalists want to accelerate their agenda while they are not properly prepared for it. You are not subjects, and you do not have to submit to anyone, unless you do so for your own free will, where you surrender your own power. We will not change until it is truly safe for us, not a second sooner. Very advanced technology already exists for thousands of years and will be launched as soon as the planet has been cleansed. Liberation. Government reshuffles and arrests are taking place in many countries, and the bad guys know that this is in store for them over the next few months. We do not know if the truth will come out before the arrests are made public. Life will not return to normal, nor would you want it to. Life, as you have known it, has been controlled by massive deception, greed, and social conditioning. What is quietly moving forward as we speak is the liberation of civilization from Earth. Nothing exists without energy. Everything that exists requires energy to grow, and no stone was left unturned to prevent Gisara from gaining energy by making himself known. First came the gag order issued by President Clinton, who signed the legislation in 2000 on the orders of the military. The gag order legally prohibited anyone who knew about the act from talking about it, and since it was kept secret, there was very little thought and feeling to give it growth energy. But the energy began to build up when the news began to emerge, and to counteract it, they spread the word that it was a crazy conspiracy theory for stupid minds. That ploy put the energy in limbo for a while, but as more people found out about it, their thoughts and feelings gave them the impetus to keep going. The inaction and discouragement of the believers slowed the movement, and the problems continued. However, the ever-increasing frequency guarantees the triumph of the forces of light. A message of Hutton transmitted 15 years ago states the intention succinctly. Hold in your heart a vision of the world you want for yourself and your family, for all the inheritors of earth. A world where peace and love replace war and hatred, where governments are run by just, wise and spiritual human beings, where the fair distribution of all resources replaces greed and poverty, where universal truths replace the web of illusions that has controlled your life. The forces of light are taking back the illegally and immorally accumulated fortunes that helped control life on Earth, and the curtain rises on the world stage for the final act of a very long play about the darkness that pervaded Earth and prevented its civilizations from evolving in spiritual consciousness. The next play will be a very long story about love, peace, joy, prosperity, and living in harmony with nature. Transition. You are facing an amazingly beautiful energy, and yet you may not realize it. To move from darkness to light, there are profound transitions. What you know from living on the planet is that the transition can be difficult, especially when you move from a darker energy to a lighter one. There are those in the dark who will fight to the death not to change. It is a way of life and a way of control for them. This transition of the earth is indeed happening. The speed will take only as long as you decide it will. Free choice on the planet will determine the timing. You are in a significant time of change now, and you are just beginning to see it. There will come a time, literally, when you will be able to say, "The sun has risen, the light has won." This will not mean that the entire planet has been enlightened. Instead, what you are going to have is a planet that thinks differently. It will be a paradigm of existence that is based more on the basic truth of what an old soul would know, as opposed to what a beginner would know. It is a new paradigm based on the concepts of a changing humankind nature, a mature and balanced consciousness, and it will look very different. What do you think the future practical life of an old soul might look like? How would it be different from what you do now? And so it is. Cryon of magnetic service. Hope. Building the legacy of transition by restless sage. Restive sage. We have all wanted to take back our countries and our planet for a long time. Now the drums of the locks can release our chains have mysteriously fallen into place. Victory means progress and new leadership that we can respect. Victory means that the world has been saved, And true victory also means that each person must rethink his or her life in the light of a new and a very special time. There are great opportunities in abundance. The light we can attain, of which we are heirs, must be experienced outwardly as well as inwardly. The old ways can be abandoned when necessary, and the path to ascension can once again be our world spirit. Ascension is the natural way, the true way, the heavenly way. The end of the path is worth the trials and tribulations. In the long history of civilization, there has been a syndrome of too much power entrusted to too few. Power must serve humankind in the end. Humankind has learned that power begets more power. Power begets laws made for the advantage of the few over the many. Power begets a banking system that goes far beyond public service. I pray that the obstacles to peace will disappear. I see a golden age before us, if we seize the day. New economic system, new revelations, new insights, new scientific breakthroughs, new understanding of ascension, new motivation to be the best we can be individually. In this great transition, we must embrace the same universal law for the nations in our own lives and in our own souls. Let us prove that we can be trusted, with the ship finally righted, to manifest a healthy, peaceful and happier world. And above all, let us protect our immortal soul as we move beyond the past. We can shed the old habits, the improper beliefs, the various misdeeds, and the litany of past failures. Commit now to greater knowledge and learning, greater compassion, wiser decisions, kinder interactions, and seek an end to injustice. If you have it in you, be a collaborator and help manifest the world you desire in your heart. Your inner light. The major aspects of change within your being continue to unfold, says Kehrach. The cleansing and transmutation of all energies, as well as the total release of what no longer serves the new you, the new version of you, of a higher consciousness and a deeper understanding of the creation story. Each day you become more aligned with your soul, allowing it to come forth and empowering your abilities, particularly that of forgiveness and love, as you focus more on creating the new rather than mourning and fearing what will happen to the old. The dark players of the third-dimensional world are very aware of the change, and of those who are doing much light work to manifest the new reality. So, they do have upped their game and continue to accelerate their process towards world domination in the impossible hope of preventing the shift of humankind into the fifth dimension. There is nothing the dark can do that will stop the shift. As Divine Source has decreed, the shift will occur, and it will also move at a slightly faster pace than in previous times. This is part of the divine plan of the universe set forth by the Creator. And since what happens on Earth impacts the galaxy and beyond, nothing can thwart the divine plan. The Dark Ones, being stubborn for millennia, have tried everything they could think of to achieve their goals. Everything they have thrown at the world has only slowed the process, merely delayed the unavoidable. Blackout. The next plot of the naughty players is an attempt to bring down the power grid. This can happen in many parts of the world, particularly in Europe and the USA. They want the population to surrender and give up everything they have if they want electricity to be restored. This too will backfire. While they may succeed in doing this, it would be temporary. It is something that would only last 2 to 4 days. They want total darkness, and they may get their wish. However, the White Hats will use the hours of darkness to do their operations. The lost entities have always ignored the fact that humankind is not alone on this journey. And this is not to say that we need savers or help from other forces, be they angelic or benevolent beings. But help is there if intervention is absolutely necessary. As always, you have free will, and your request for help allows for higher dimensional beings to intervene in certain cases. So, if the power goes out, the world is dark. There is no television or radio to report anything. Someone can simply step in and light up the skies, while at the same time activating the electrical grid wirelessly. This would be the Federation of Light. Imagine the awakening this would bring about throughout the world. Humankind will not be left in darkness, for the new energies entering the planet are touching its heart and helping many to realize the light and the love they have within. This is changing the world. The more people awaken to this truth, the more they awaken to their inner light, the more the frequency of the planet will change, the more it will rise, and the more the shift into the fifth dimension will unfold in harmony. Remember, your daily prayers and meditations have a great impact on thwarting the plans of the dark and in creating greater quotient of light on earth. Exciting days lie ahead. From a higher perspective, the process of elevation into the fifth dimension is now complete. This is why we have said that you are in the final days of the old three-dimensional reality. There are more changes to manifest in the physical events and adjustments needed before the mighty way of light which will carry humankind into the new reality of paradise. This has begun. The light within you will lead you to the reality of peace and prosperity that you truly desire. Reset News. Third emergency meeting. The Federal Reserve has called an emergency closed-door meeting for 11:30 a.m. on Monday, October 3rd, according to Kerry Cassidy. Rumor has it that the banks are signaling that there are problems. Does it all start on October 1st? After the huge interest rate hike and another hot reading on inflation, a slew of Fed speeches this week indicated that central bank officials are united in the task of cooling inflation, even in the face of the global market turmoil. The Fed is starting to break things, and the stock market is paying the price, writes Ben Levisow. The dollar rises against the euro at the end of the quarter. A runaway dollar just recorded its strongest quarter in at least 7 years. A large number of zombie companies are drawing in debt as interest rates soar. Cargo ship owners cancel voyages as global trade shifts from delays to empty containers. The global economy is shaken by simultaneous shocks, showing signs of a rapid slowdown as it faces a series of shocks, some of them self-inflicted by policymakers, increasing the likelihood of another global recession and the danger of financial turmoil. Opinions. The world economy is collapsing and currencies are dying, quotes, writes Gregory Manarino. All the opinions are in quotes. The end of the gold standard, 50 years of monetary madness, writes the Nomad Economist. Banks are now targeting customers who withdraw cash, writes Michael Cowan. My bank went out of this way to stop me withdrawing money from my account, says Southend Pepper 1. The market is coming to a crash landing, writes Chamat Palihapitiya. Central banks create a permanent distortion, says Nomi Prince. His advice is to stay out of debt, buy gold, silver and other metals, and keep some cash. Europe. Germany and Europe will lose 35% of their natural gas because of pipeline destruction. Natural gas is used to heat homes, hospitals, and businesses. It is used to run manufacturing operations, industrial processes, and power generation facilities. Rationing is likely to be a first step in bringing this disaster under control. The German automotive industry could be the first victim. This is a disaster caused to make people suffer. Denmark reports stabilization of pressure in the Nord Stream 1 pipeline after neutralizing a leak. Russia says it can repair the Nord Stream pipelines, but this will take time and money. Europe now faces another energy crisis. Wind is running out. Europe is not only facing a severe energy crisis due to the lack of Russian gas, it is also facing a reduction in wind levels, complicating the transition to a renewable energy model. Italy dispenses with face masks on public transport after more than 2 years. Americas. Latin America shows 4 years of stagnation in social progress. Argentina's dilemma is to sort out the economy via adjustment or grow with high inflation, says Juan Lehmann. The Argentine government intervenes to stop the shortage of official World Cup album stickers. Brazil receives about 35 million liters of Russian diesel and expects new shipments. Nicaragua keeps the price of a gallon of gasoline at $5. The Nicaraguan government calls for the lifting of the embargo on Cuba. Costa Rica starts its cruise season and expects to increase tourism by 20%. Hurricane Orlene reaches Category 4, moving towards the west coast of Mexico. Ian ceases to be a hurricane and downgrades to a post-tropical cyclone in South Carolina. Guacamaya, a group of hackers attacking multinationals and armed forces in Latin America. The Colombian government prioritizes the Amazon in its development plan. Spain's public debt exceeds 1.4 trillion euros in the second quarter of 2022. Asia. China is about to unleash all hell, writes Xing Fu. China has had enough and is coordinating a huge dump of dollars to defend the Chinese yuan. Due to the Fed's rate hikes, the yuan has been falling, making China's imports more expensive and threatening to increase inflation. This could collapse Chinese markets, and now China is taking massive action by orchestrating a massive dollar sell-off. However, this could easily spill over into the debt market and trigger a bond crisis. China's secret conquest has a price, and developing economies could pay it, writes Mariano Iberri from Mexico. China's fall benefits India. China's relentless slide in equities has varnished the appeal of its biggest emerging market rival, India, leading to a divergence rarely seen before. China's Xiaomi says it will protect its business interests after assets frozen in India. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.